Namaste, India, and Namaste, rest of the world. Welcome to another round of webinars that we are bringing to you as part of the Dekho Apna Desh series. Today, we are taking you to the heart of India. Literally the heart. It's in the center of India, a beautiful city, a green city, a very clean city. For a lot of people who are aware of that part of the world that I'm talking of, I think you know already must know what I'm talking of, right? Bhopal, the city of lakes, and I must say also a city of trees and greenery. It's a city built on the site of an 11th century city, Bhojapal, founded by the legendary king Raja Bhoj. Pal means dam, as the a very kind, that's the word I found about him. He was a very kind king, a Parmara king who was very kind and was also so visionary that he created dams at that point of time. And viewers, you can imagine the amount of technology that was being used way back in the 11th century. So kudos to all our early leaders and kings who had so much vision for their cities that city benefits from those dams even today. And we are now talking of sustainable living. So very humbling, I think, some of the leaders that have been in the history of our great land. Anyhow, without getting emotional about that, we need to tell you what we are doing today is to bring to you this incredible city of India. It is not just incredible in the way that it has weaved together the finest traditions of our country, but is also a very modern city. It's a city that has the third largest bus rapid system corridor in the country, the BRTS. It also is the engineering hub for education with more than 150 prestigious institutes of engineering. It is also one of the best connected cities in terms of railway stations, the railway routes. The Habibganj station was the first to hold distinction as the ISO certified station in India. So truly a world-class station. And of course it has the airport and the usual wherewithal that goes with a very modern city. But along with that, it is also very famous for its antique jewelry. It is also famous for the Bagh print and the Bagh way of doing fabric. And they use hand blocks, they use vegetable dyes, and it is so much a part of our incredible India, where recently the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned about being vocal, about local. I think there is so much art and craft, viewers. We took you to Mysuru the other day to show you the Chennapatna toys and also the inlay work of rosewood. So today we are taking you to Bhopal, which again is incredible in so many ways. Well, again, talking of the ancient legacy of this city, India's only perhaps functional Turkish bath, I believe, still exists there. It's about 300 years old, Kadimi Hammam. It's still in use. It probably has the oldest man-made lake in India. So many fun things to this beautiful city. But if you go to Bhopal, you cannot miss for breakfast the spicy Bhopali poha, which I was reminded has a little bit of that crunchy kurmura things thrown on it, the save that is thrown on it, which gives it that very interesting crunch. The barfi rasmalai, the chaat, and somewhat now forgotten the dal pakwan, the kebabs, and you have to top it off with Suleimani chai. And just in case any of your other flavors are still left untouched, you have to have the Shahi Tukra, and you have to walk through the Chatori Gully. Our viewers, the presenters will take us through on that. And last but not the least, the Bhopali Pan to round off. In Bhopal, they say making pan is not just making pan, it's an art in itself. Well, telling us about all these beautiful elements of this amazing city and speaking to all of you are three presenters today. Dr. Shomi Roy. For all of you who started the journey of Dekho Apna Desh webinars with us, Shomi was the one who initiated the first one on Delhi with us. So welcome back, Shomi.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we have Himanshu Rana. He's a food theorist and has extensive knowledge of the history of Indian cuisine. And Shivam Verma, who is a city explorer. And I'm going to pass the screen to Nidhi so that she can to Shomi, to kickstart the day's proceedings. Enjoy Bhopal, viewers, and have fun and enjoy all the food.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Ministry of Tourism. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us the opportunity to present this webinar today. Previously, our team presented an edition of storytelling session on Delhi and a photo walking experience through the pristine city of Varanasi. Today, we are ready to showcase a photo walking journey of a city which is the capital of India's heartland, Madhya Pradesh. Yes, we are talking about none other than Bhopal. An amalgamation of old and new, traditional and modern, this city has been an attraction for many. Let's begin our day with a glimpse of everything that makes Bhopal a desirable destination. Talking about best shots and walks. The picture on the screen almost makes one envious about the scenic beauty. Immersing in the calmness of morning and soaking in the vibrance of night, the city has hues more than the color palette could offer. However, let's come back. Let's come back to the first things that you get to hear once you arrive in Bhopal. ADG ma'am just mentioned about Raja Bhoj, and yes, the story is intertwined with him. On your screen, you see the man himself. It is said the king of Bhopal, Raja Bhoj, who was famous as the philosopher and the scholar king, he supposedly had a skin disorder. The king looked for its cure in all directions. When one of his health advisors came up with an advice to say that, dear Raja, you need to take bath in a water body which has to be made out of 365 independent sources or tributaries of water. I repeat, he was advised to bathe in a water body that was made by 365 independent sources of tributaries of water, which was the only way to cure his ailment. Result of this effort was to came out in a form of the largest man-made, one of the largest man-made lake in the world, the Bhojpal, now called the Bada Talab. The city derives its name from Bhojpal, or the dam of Raja Bhoj. Moving on, as we understand that also the picture that you see on your screen, the story I shared, the city has its eternal connection to water bodies. So much so that it has earned the epithet City of Lakes. A beautiful sight to behold, the shimmer with dawn, the calmness at dusk. It's a must experience when you're in the city. Now I feel that we are creating Bhopal in a way which is going to build some interest in your mind. And if you're already planning a trip to the city, let me tell you that Bhopal is easily accessible from all parts of the country through airway, railway, and road. It's centrally accessible by all mediums of transportation. Once you've reached Bhopal, you've experienced the city the way we are showcasing you today, there are other innumerable adjoining areas to explore. The names are listed on your screen, but I'll just mention a few which are absolutely important to visit and not to miss. For example, the Sanchi Stupa, a World Heritage Site. Approximately 40 kilometers from Bhopal, Sanchi is the oldest Buddhist sanctuary in existence. You can then move to Bhimbetka Rock Shelters, of course, another World Heritage Site. Dating back to 10,000 years, this rock shelter gives you a chance to look at the cave painting made by the prehistoric people. Following, your spiritual inclination can be completely bring to piety and solace once you reach Ujjain, one of the oldest city in the region. It is famous as a great city for learning and spiritual awareness. It's been mentioned in many of our mythological tales, scriptures. Of course, a visit to Ujjain calms you down. And finally, my favorite is the small city on the map, which is Chanderi. Once a part of the Bundelkhand Empire, it is now famous for its beautiful textile, particularly Chanderi sarees. I'm sure you've heard or seen the exquisite handcrafted sarees. If not, then I am still assuming that you have seen the latest Bollywood movie called Stree. A disclaimer must be mentioned that Chanderi has got nothing to do with haunted tales. It just was the Bollywood plot of it, right? I see with each passing slide, we are drawing you close to Bhopal. Now it's time to dig a little deeper with the intricate details of the city. First and foremost, let's give you an understanding of the brief timeline of the city. History of Bhopal has many layers, many interpretations, and innumerable versions. What you see on your screen is a broad understanding of the timeline, and I'm sure there can be many additions to this. Of course, there can be subtractions too. But this is just a broad understanding. Starting from geographically, like we mentioned, they're the first evidences of early humans who made rock paintings in Bhimbetka, dating to 10,000 years ago. Following, the first traces of settlement in the present-day city area is noticed only in the 11th century when you have Raja Bhoj coming in. Following him came the prominent names of history, Rani Kamlapati and Dost Muhammad Khan. These are the names that I'm just mentioning, but my colleagues are going to tell you the stories about them. Dost Muhammad Khan can be attributed to the creation of the first fortified city in the area known as Fatehgarh. After Dost Muhammad Khan, the entire area of Fatehgarh was then ruled by his descendants, clubbed together as the reign of the Nawabs of Bhopal. However, one of the most important and magnanimous turn of events took place when the Nawabs of Bhopal were superseded by the Begums of Bhopal. From 1819 till about 1926, there were 4 Begums who ruled over Bhopal, one after another. What a fantastic way to say that the women of the medieval times had all the power in their hand and they were ruling through the entire realm of Bhopal. Finally, independence, 1956, Bhopal came to be the capital of the state of Madhya Pradesh. The timeline is right on your screen. Do not get confused with it. We are just going to share stories around it. Coming to, we couldn't have missed the Begums of Bhopal. A line to them wouldn't justify, but still it's important to mention just a little anecdotes about each of the 4 Begums. But before that, we must also remember that there was one more lady who was ruling behind the veil. She was the one who has been very, very difficult to find out in pictures or paintings. I'm talking about none other than Maji Mamola. She ruled for approximately 50 years behind the curtain, leading to fascinating stories of women empowerment for the future. Talking about Qudsiya Begum, she was the first Begum, made mosques, ensured welfare for all, has been seen as the mother figure by all her subjects. Sikandar Jahan Begum was known to be the lady ensuring equality for women in all fields. Followed came Shah Jahan Begum, a lover of art and architecture, made fascinating buildings and opened many schools for education provided for employment for both men and women. Finally, Sultan Jahan Begum, and ever interested in the field of education, I must mention that she was one of the founding chancellors of Aligarh Muslim universities. I'm sure this is one of the anecdotes most of us didn't know. This now brings me to our most awaited segment of the photo walking journey. My colleagues Himanshu Rana and Shivam Verma will be taking you into the core of the city's offerings. Himanshu will give you a glimpse of the Bhopali culture, followed by the anecdotes of the stunning Minto Hall, whereas Shivam will showcase the life and culture of the tribes through the Tribal Museum, and finishing with the beautiful Old Bhopal Walk. Over to Himanshu for the quintessential Bhopali culture with his immersive culture way. Himanshu.
कल्चर की अगर हम बात करें, कल्चर जो होता है वो एक कॉम्बिनेशन होता है, मिक्सचर होता है आइडियाज का, कस्टम्स का, बिहेवियर का, आर्ट्स का और बिलीव्स का, वहाँ के लोगों का और वहाँ के सोसाइटी का। भोपाल के लोगों की अगर हम बात करें, जो काफ़ी पोलाइट होते हैं और हेल्पफुल भी होते हैं, जो कि हर किसी की मदद करने के लिए हमेशा तैयार रहते हैं। भोपाल वैसे तो बहुत सी चीज़ों के लिए जाना जाता है, बट कुछ ऐसी खास चीज़ें हैं जो भोपाल को एक यूनिक आइडेंटिटी देती हैं, जिसमें से एक है भोपाली पान, यहाँ की चाय, यहाँ का जरी जरदोजी का काम और यहाँ की पटियाबाजी। जी हाँ, यहाँ पर आप पतोलेबाजी भी बोल सकते हैं, जिसको इंग्लिश में अगर ट्रांसलेट करें, स्टोरी टेलर्स। भोपाल में एक बहुत ही फेमस एनेक्डोट है, जो कि कहा जाता है 4 चीज तोहफा है भोपाल। जी हाँ, जब कोई भी विजिटर या कोई भी मेहमान आता है तो उसे इन 4 चीजों का तोहफा दिया जाता है, जिसमें से पहली चीज होती है सुपारी चबाने के लिए, बटुआ पैसे रखने के लिए या कुछ छोटा मोटा सामान रखने के लिए, चुनेटी जिसमें चूना होता है वो बॉक्स दिया जाता है ताकि वो अपने पान के ऊपर लगा खा सके, या डिहाइड्रेशन के लिए भी यूज किया जाता है, और आखिरी में जो उनको दिया जाता है वो है रुमाल, तो अपना मुंह साफ करने के लिए। तो ये तो हुई इस एनेक्डोट की बात। तो आइए अब बात करते हैं इन्हीं कुछ खास चीजों के बारे में जो भोपाल में काफी फेमस है। तो शुरुआत करते हैं यहाँ की फेमस चीज से, जो कि है यहाँ का पान। पान का जो जुड़ाव है वो भोपाल की हिस्ट्री और कल्चर से बहुत बहुत पुराना है, क्योंकि लोग सोचते हैं उससे भी पुराना यहाँ का जुड़ाव है। जब आप भोपाल जाएंगे तो अपने जहन से वो इमेज नहीं निकाल पाएंगे जब आप देखेंगे कि लोग अपने घरों से बाहर निकल के अपने चबूतरे पे बैठ के पान खाते हुए पटियाबाजी करते हैं और एंडलेस डिस्कशंस करते हैं, चाहे वो डिस्कशंस फिल्म्स की हो या कोई शेरो शायरी की हो या कोई पॉलिटिकल हो या करंट अफेयर्स हो। पान यहाँ की एक ऐसी चीज है जो हर एक इंसान के जहन में बैठी हुई है। जी हाँ, जब आप किसी दावत पे भी जाएंगे किसी के घर में, तो जो मील है, जो खाने का, जो आखिरी में आपको पान सर्व किया जाएगा। पहले के जमाने में लोगों के खुद के कस्टमाइज पानदान होते थे, जिसमें वो अपनी बतौर चीजें रखा करते थे, जैसे कि इलायची, लौंग और वगैरह, जो उनको खाने में पान के साथ पसंद है, और वो खुद ही अपना पान उसमें बनाया करते थे। तो ये तो हुई पान की बात। आइए अब बात करते हैं एक और फेमस चीज की, जो कि भोपाल में काफी जानी जाती है, जो कि है जरी जरदोजी। जरी का जो काम है वो एक डिटेल आर्ट है, जो कि धागे की बुनाई होती है, और उन दिनों जो धागे होते थे वो बुने हुए जाते थे या बनाए जाते थे सिल्वर से और गोल्ड से। इस धागों की बुनाई का बेसिकली जो काम होता है वो किया जाता है सिल्क कपड़े के ऊपर, जो कि इंट्रिकेट पैटर्न्स में किया जाता है। जरी का जो काम है वो बेसिकली एम्ब्रॉयडरी के तौर पे यूज किया जाता है। हालांकि ये भी कहा जाता है कि जब बेगम थी भोपाल की, वो इस जरी के काम को अपनी पोशाकों में इस्तेमाल करना काफी पसंद करती थी, जो कि एक लुक, एक अटायर को एक रॉयल लुक देता है और उसे एक डिफरेंट बनाता है। जी हाँ, आजकल के ज़माने में जब आप जाएंगे तो यहाँ पे ये जरी का वर्क आप बटुए में भी देख सकते हैं। जो थ्रेड है वो हालांकि उनके ऊपर कोटेड होता है। आज के ज़माने में आपको प्योर थ्रेड तो नहीं मिलेंगी सिल्वर और गोल्ड की, बट ये यू विल गेट, आपको रिजेंबल्स जरूर मिलेगा। जो आपको बटुआ भी देखने के लिए मिलेगा, जैसे आप स्क्रीन पे भी देख पा रहे हैं, जिसके ऊपर एम्ब्रॉयडरी करी हुई है, वो भी एक परफेक्ट एग्जाम्पल है जरी जरदोजी का। भोपाल का जो शीश महल है वो एक तरह से बहुत पुराना आर्ट स्कूल माना जाता है जरी जरदोजी का, जहाँ पे जरी जरदोजी का काम सिखाया जाता था। और ये जो स्कूल की जो एस्टैब्लिशमेंट है ये की थी सुल्तान जहां बेगम ने। जी हाँ, तो ये तो हुई जरी जरदोजी की बात। जब हम किसी जगह में जाते हैं तो वहाँ के कुछ जायकों के बारे में भी पूछते हैं, वहाँ की कुछ ऐसी चीजों के बारे में पूछते हैं जो कि हमारे जुबान को भी छू जाए। वैसे ही भोपाल में एक जो बहुत मशहूर चीज है वो है चाय। अगर आप पुराने भोपाल में जाएंगे तो वहाँ की जो फेमस चीज है चाय में वो है सुलेमानी चाय, जो कि एक परफेक्ट बैलेंस देती है फ्लेवर्स का, जिसमें आप नमक भी पाएंगे थोड़ा सा और थोड़ा सा मिठास भी पाएंगे, और जिसको सर्व किया जाता है मलाई के साथ ऊपर गार्निश करके। ये चाय आपको और भी जगहें देखने पे मिलेंगी दुनिया के, भारत की अगर हम बात करें तो और भी जगहों में आपको ये चाय देखने के लिए मिल सकती है जो यहाँ पे सर्व होती है। बट जो वेराइटी यहाँ पे सर्व की जाती है वो एक यूनिक है, वो इसको एक अलग मुकाम देती है। चाय जो
Manju,
है,
I'm interrupting you in between. You are telling us some incredible things. Can you just say a few of these things again in English? Because I'm getting a lot of questions from people on the,
sure,
particularly the Zardozi part of it.
sure,
Thank
definitely,
you very
ma'am.
much.
Yeah. If we talk about the Zardozi work is an intricate art of weaving thread made up of fine gold or silver. These threads are further woven into fabrics, primarily made up of silk, to create intricate patterns. Basically, the zari thread is widely used for weaving, but more selectively in embroidery. The designs made in zari work are so precise and beautiful, apart that from the monetary value of these threads. The overall fabric also gets rich and royal look from it. Traditionally, zari thread was formed and it was used as an embellishment of the royal attire. It is said that the Begums of Bhopal worn the royal outfits that the rich zari zardori work done in pure silver and gold threads. You will also find the same zari work on the batuas, which make them popular among the whole country. Bhopal's Sheesh Mahal housed its old art school of Sari Sardozi, which was established by Sultan Jahan Begum. If we talk about chai, chai is a special variety. So basically, we are talking about the chai, which is a favorite thing over here. That's a Suleimani chai, which offers a fine balance of flavors with a hint of sugar and salt. This tea or this chai is served with a garnishing of malai or cream on top of it. This type of tea is served in variety in several parts of India as well. But the variety which is served in Bhopal is truly unique. The chai which is served over here, the tea which is served over here is from a huge samovar, which is something unusual for anyone familiar in North India. It also resembles the famous boiler thing over here. There are many other things which Bhopal is famous for, basically. And the another craze which Bhopalis have is of jeeps. Yes, the people in Bhopal are also fond of jeep. Bhopal have some of the world's finest and the oldest jeeps. And these rare collections of jeeps are not just showpieces in the courtyards, but also fly on roads. You will find on the vacations and on the holidays, on the weekends, the people are taking a ride on these jeeps with their families and enjoying their vacation and the holiday. Bhopalis have inherited this fascination towards riding in vintage jeeps from the Royal Nawabs of Bhopal, who were also fond of these classic models and maintaining a variety of collection in their courtyard. Nawab of Bhopal, Hamidullah Khan, had got an Aston Champ, which is now kept in Noor Sabah Palace. So these were just a few highlights about the Bhopal and what is the speciality of the Bhopal. Now we will start our journey for the walking and we will move ahead to our first stop. Talk about Minto Hall. This beautiful place was built by Begum of Bhopal, Sultan Jahan Begum. Sultan Jahan Begum, the ruler of State Hall or a Swagat Kaksh to receive and entertain her exclusive guests in proximity to Lal Koti, the present day Governor House, for quite some time. But interestingly, Darbar Hall never served the same purpose. It is said that a visit from Lord Earl Minto the Viceroy of India at that time, and Lady Minto presented the Nawab an occasion to announce the commencement of one. The foundation of the stone of the new Darbar Hall was laid by the distinguished couple on November 12, 1909, and it took long 24 years to build this Minto Hall. At the time of succession of King George V, Begum was invited to the coronation ceremony in London. And to honor the invitation, she went over there. And while coming back, she took the inspiration to give this whole structure building a shape of a crown. If we talk about the architectural part of this Minto Hall, the Minto Hall is basically a fusion of British colonial and provincial Nawab architecture of Bhopal. The walls were originally constructed of deep pink sandstone masonry with decorative work, which had been concealed over under layers of whitewashing and paint. The interior of the rooms on the northwest corner of the building resembles the ballrooms of the West, with beautiful Italian marble flooring, ornate walls, ceilings, carpets, and beautiful chandeliers. The 8 towers of Minto Hall, tied together by the colonnade veranda or corridor, suggest the 8 half arches and the circlet of the imperial crown of India, re-emphasizing the historical and architectural significance of the building. On your slide, on your presentation, you can see, you will find an elaborate stone brackets and stucco work on the ceiling of the ballroom, similar to the design of traditional embroidery and the carpet weaving in the Bhopal. And below that, you will find another structure, another design, the bow sign design. The bow on the wall is to signify the use of the weapon by women in the army in those times. If we talk about the building as well, when the building was completed, it was first used as a headquarters by the army of princely state of Bhopal. Later then, it was converted into a financial advisory office under Mr. Joseph Moore. The building then functioned as a Lakeview Hotel under Nawab Hamidullah Khan for a very short duration. In 1946, Minto Hall got a new identity with the inauguration of the Inter College by Nawab Hamidullah Khan. It was later famously known as Hamidia College. On September 9, 1956, immense significance was further bestowed on Minto Hall when it became the Legislative Assembly or Vidhan Sabha of Madhya Pradesh. Now, if we talk about today's scenario or present time, the Minto Hall serves as a convention center, which is used for conferences and facilitations. So from here, I will hand it over to my colleague Shivam, who will take you further on this journey.
Now that we have shared with you anecdotes on Bhopali culture and given you insight into Minto Hall, let us talk about yet another attraction of Bhopal, the beautiful and vibrant Tribal Museum. This museum focuses on the lifestyle of tribal communities and their knowledge systems. There are other attractions in Bhopal which also showcase indigenous cultures, such as the Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya. The presence of such museums in Bhopal is important because the state shares its boundary with 5 other states, which make it a cultural hotspot, and also home to many indigenous tribes of our country who have adjusted to new age and lifestyle while also have been keeping up their traditional values and practices intact. Let us now take you through this marvelous museum, which shows us the life in a tribal society. One of the important aspects of indigenous lifestyles is to maintain a healthy relationship with the nature, where you are not only dependent on your environment, but also responsible to preserve it. As we dive into the details, we should consider this museum and its artifacts as a way of answering the questions that we all have at times, such as, when did the world come into existence? Or why do we see around us certain things that are beyond explanations? Pay close attention to the artifacts in the upcoming photo walking journey, as you will see the museum from inside, gallery by gallery, in the same order as you would see it when you visit. So let's begin. The first question that comes to our mind is how the tribes live. To answer this question, we have our first gallery of the museum, which showcases different types of houses. Inside the gallery, all these houses create a near perfect neighborhood. However, they belong to different types of tribes, such as Gond, Bhil, Saharia, Bega, and Korku. All these tribes have different ways of creating their houses. Inside the gallery, the houses have actual sizes, which have details that you cannot miss. Here is a picture of a house which shows that how optimum use of raw materials such as clay, bamboo, and stones and wood has been done into making it. With the basic structure of the house in place, now it is time to decorate it. We all love to decorate our houses. Also, artistic expressions are key to understanding our thoughts. Every house in tribal community is decorated with beautiful art forms, and these art forms have use of various symbolism. As we see in the picture here, houses of Saharia tribe share a common courtyard, which is also common and seen in many other indigenous cultures where they love and they like to stay in close contact with the entire clan. Coming back to arts, most tribal houses display two distinct forms of arts, paintings and wood carving. Paintings inside the houses are generally done by women, while carving on the doors or wooden slabs are done by men of the community. These paintings and carvings are mostly done during special occasions such as weddings and festivals. With an understanding of the beautiful houses, it is now time to take a sneak peek into some of the beliefs and stories. These beliefs and stories try to explain other questions, questions of the origin of the world or other phenomena that cannot be explained. On your screen, you will see multiple objects, such as musical instruments hanging from a tree and a wooden pavilion right in the center. Now, this pavilion marks a spot where Dharti and Akash, that is, the earth and the sky come together. Whenever we look at the skyline or the horizon, we always admire the beauty of it. And the same is represented here in the form of this pavilion, which is being witnessed as a ceremony by all the creatures on top of it, made as small figures. The trunks of the trees can also be noticed to have carvings again. These are again telling many stories. Intricately woven with the beliefs, the concept of life and death can also be discussed. Let's talk about life. As these days we are learning its value more than ever, upon your screen you are seeing a huge bangle first of all. The size of this bangle is just to show you the details, and this is how it is presented in the museum. However, this is a ceremonial bangle which is presented during weddings. The figures on top are made with metal, and these show different aspects of life, such as raising a family, engaging in farming activities, and other important events. As most ceremonial jewelries have special significance, this one has a base made of bamboo. Talking about bamboo, the other objects on your screen are also made with it. In fact, if you notice, bamboo is an integral part of the rituals in many of our country's culture. Now, bamboo is an object, and things made with bamboo are used in all ways, right from the birth of a person till his death. This gallery presents a very beautiful mythical tale of the origin of the bamboo tree, which you must see for yourself when you visit. On the other chapter of this story is how death is also celebrated in many tribal cultures. It is believed that ancestors have a life even after death, and they live in an afterworld where they can be contacted if the need be. As seen in the picture here, special clay pots are made for such a contact. Then these are lit up and they act as a guide for the ancestors, who are welcome to come and reside in these and become a part of the gathering of the entire clan during special occasions. Life and death and blessings and teachings of life bring us close to our spiritual world. One's spiritual beliefs are the guiding factors in their life to interpret everything around them. And the perception of a godlike figure sometimes goes beyond the concept of abstract and meaningfulness. And this explains the figure that you see on your screen. Many tribes hold such beliefs. You will also see a hill of animal figures kept here, which is made with clay. And this is often offered to deities during prayers and ceremonies. Keep in mind that most of the times when indigenous societies were offering prayers, They were asking for small help in the case where their strayed animals or cattle should return to them, or asking for a successful harvest. In the spiritual world, two of the most interesting stories that I would like to share with you are about two goddesses. On the on two sides of the screen, you have one which is Shitla Devi, and on the other side you have Tatal Devi. Sheetal in English means cold, and she is the goddess to whom people come to pray when they catch a disease such as chickenpox, which gives blisters and rashes on your skin, and the only thing you're looking for at that time is calmness or coolness. And that's why they come to offer prayers to Sheetla Devi. And the same rashes are also represented on the idols kept near her temple. Next is Tatal Devi, which is the goddess whom people come to pray when they have problems with their limbs. Whenever the limbs are broken for them or their cattle, people would come to offer wooden pieces of limbs to this goddess, who is believed to have power to cure broken limbs. With gods and goddesses and their stories, let us quickly talk about the gallery which presents social practices. The tribal communities over many centuries have learned important nature-friendly ways of producing goods and items. They have gained significant skills of producing a lot of goods. In the picture, we see expert craftsmanship by the community in form of pottery, metal art, and they also produce many kind of textile products. Our celebration of gods and goddesses brings together one of the most important segment of life, that is the festivals. This gallery also has a huge chariot on display right in the middle, which is a replica of a ceremonial chariot, which is used during Dashera festival. Dashera is celebrated among many communities, and especially in the district of Bastar, where it is celebrated for 75 days. The inclusion of this chariot is important here, as Bastar is today part of Chhattisgarh, but it was part of MP until the year 2000, when Chhattisgarh came into existence as a state. Finally, before we head out of the museum, we have the Gallery of Games and Sports. Indigenous people have their own ways of entertainment. When they reach a point of boredom in routine life, the games are, as we know, the best way to enjoy, but they are not the only thing to kill time. In fact, they are also at times the way to learn many important skills and also improve physical strength. The game displayed here in this gallery include such skill testing, such as climbing up on a tree, or testing your physical strength by a game much like tug of war, or a game which is very interestingly displayed on the behind wall, where you can see a wave-like figure. This is actually a representation of a game where kids are trying to catch fishes in the river. The gallery also shows many indigenous games which are similar to our modern day games, such as Gulli Danda, which can be linked to modern day cricket, or Chaucer, which can be linked to modern day chess. While this museum is based on indigenous culture, it is also a good way for us to experience and take very clever eco-friendly solutions from here. From tribal life, let's move into the medieval times of Bhopal. This segment of photo walking journey will take you through some of the most iconic buildings around the city, which are dotted at a very close proximity. And these are the must visit for anyone who's coming to Bhopal. They have layers of history woven with historic characters. Let us now take you to this old Bhopal walk, and we shall see some of the historic sites, some of the sites that are truly the gem in Bhopal's history. The first destination is a place of a legendary queen, Queen Kamlapati. I'm sure some of you have heard of her name, Rani Kamlapati, but today I'm going to share with you why she is so famous. She was a queen who was married to a Gond king called Nizam Shah, and Nizam Shah was the ruler of Gennaurgarh. Nizam Shah was eventually murdered by his own nephew, and the nephew then tried to marry the queen. Reason behind all of this is said to be the fact that Rani Kamlapati was so beautiful that her beauty was compared to those of fairies in the folk tales. Rani Kamlapati ran from her palace of Gennaurgarh and then came to stay here in this palace that you're looking at in the picture. And this is where she came to meet Dost Muhammad Khan. Dost Muhammad Khan was an Afghan commander who had a mercenary army with himself. And Dost Muhammad Khan promised to avenge the death of her husband in return of a handsome price. It is said that the Khan had already taken the revenge for the murder, but then eventually he took over the fort of Ginorgarh, and it was his descendants who would be later known as the Nawabs of Bhopal. Rani Kamlapati, however, had died in 1723 under mysterious circumstances. Across this palace, you will come to another magnanimous thing, that is a recent construction, Raja Bhoj Setu. This place gives a panoramic view of the entire Bada Talab or the upper lake. My colleague has already mentioned with you the details of why Bada Talab was built and what is the story behind city's name. In present day context, the lake is the center of the activities, even today. In the picture, Raja Bhoj Setu is a state-of-the-art bridge built by the administration to provide connectivity to different sides of the city, but also provides many picture-perfect views of the lakeside. On the other side of this, you have the famous VIP Road of Bhopal. This is a place where regularly families and group of friends would gather up, and this is a place for them where they hang out right from the early morning hours till late night. The tourism department also runs many water activities here, such as the facility of boating can be experienced. Our most awaited segment is now going to come up, which is the chapter on Begums of Bhopal. One such site that we cover on this journey is Gauhar Mahal. This building was made by the first recognized Begum of Bhopal, Qudsiya Begum. She was the regent to the royal throne on behalf of her daughter, who was made the queen after her husband's accidental death in 1819. This was the first three-storied building of Bhopal, and the top room used to be reserved for queen's personal use. This gave her the complete view of the city. She was one who was seen as a mother figure and always ensured the welfare for her subjects. As we move towards the interior view of the palace, you will notice that the building has been built in the Mughal style of architecture, having Indo-Islamic art of work, and it has various halls. These halls include the famous Diwan-e-Aam and Diwan-e-Khas. Diwan-e-Aam, where the common people came to meet the queen, while Diwan-e-Khas was the place where important guests met the Begum. This place also had wells made for Begum's personal use. Yes, this building was built to world's largest man-made lake, but still there was well inside. This well was created just for the use of drinking water. The Begum did not believe in having water from a still water body such as the Talab, and that's why the drinking water from underground wells was preferred. The decorations and inside of this palace is beautified and decorated with wood, mirrors, and different kind of metal art. Interestingly, many Bollywood movies have been shot here as well. These Bollywood movies include a movie called Zubeda, which starred Karishma Kapoor. And even before that, in 1993, a movie called Muhafiz. This movie starred Shashi Kapoor and Om Puri. Shashi Kapoor also received an award under the category which was a special jury category for playing a character of a poet, an Urdu poet. Poet and poetry cannot be missed in Bhopal. Our next stop deep dive into the literary world, the world of famous poet Allama Iqbal. We are now at Iqbal Maidan, which is named after the poet. It was earlier called as Khirni Wala Maidan, Khirni, which means orchids. The name was changed to Iqbal Maidan after independence, as the administration had decided to dedicate the ground to the famous nationalist poet, who had given us the line, which is very famous, Sare Jahan se Achha, Hindustan Hamara. The name was given to this place because Allama Sahab, Iqbal Sahab, was supposed to have visited Bhopal many a time, 4 times, and he had written many famous work here as well. He also stayed in a couple of buildings which are close to this ground at present. The ground still runs and presents many mushairas for the poets from around the city, and poetry lovers from across the state come down here. The ground also ran a library under the name of Iqbal Sahab, which has now been shifted to another location. During our walks around Iqbal Maidan, one thing that catches the eye of everyone is a figure which is of a bird. This bird called Shaheen bird, which can be seen on top of a pillar. This is an artwork made by J. Swaminathan and Robin David, two artists. And the word Shaheen in Urdu means eagle. Here, this figure refers to Iqbal Sahab as a figure which is above other poets, just like how the eagle is above other birds. In the picture, we can also see our next stop, which is the Moti Masjid. Coming back to our Begums, this mosque was commissioned in 1860 by Begum Sikandar Jahan. Begum had once visited Delhi, where she was very impressed with Delhi's Jama Masjid. And after coming back, she desired to create a similar mosque, which came out in the form of Moti Masjid. As seen in the picture, the mosque has used red sandstone and white marble, while the inside of this mosque truly represents a copy of Jama Masjid, where two minarets can be seen on the sides and the central sanctum can be seen with three domes on top of it. During the walks around Old Bhopal, while there are many buildings that are only seen from outside, the mosque provides a good opportunity for people to look at the art and style of that era from up close. As seen in the picture, the guests always love to visit the mosque, take pictures around, and you can also notice on the side the common style of that time period, which involves double domes, double columns, multifoliated arches, and many multi-floral patterns. Once we step out of Moti Masjid, walk a little ahead, so we get to see three stunning structures adjoining together. Their uniqueness is seen in the architectural styles: the Moti Mahal, Shaukat Mahal, and Sheesh Mahal. On your screen, you can see a glimpse of Moti Mahal through the adorned and elaborate gateway. Moti Mahal was made and used as a darbar hall during the reign of Sikandar Jahan Begum, while Shaukat Mahal was gifted to her during her wedding. French influence can be seen on these buildings, as history says a French man by the name of Salvador Bourbon came to Maju Mamola and held important official positions in the provincial administration. Some claim that he belonged to the royal family of France, who was seeking refuge in the subcontinent during the French Revolution. And the building dates back to the same time period of the 19th century, which hints towards close ties of the Nawab with the Bourbon family. Moving on, we have yet another facet from times of Begum's rule. We come to Sadar Manzil. Sadar Manzil was commissioned under the reign of Nawab Shah Jahan Begum. It was used as a darbar hall, and it was extensively ornate and had intricate designs in it. It was a beauty to behold. It had work of Belgian glasses, gold foils on ceiling, and other motifs made in plastic and wood. After independence, it became the office for the Bhopal Municipal Corporation, and many fresh features were added to this building, such as the dolphin fountain you can see in the picture. This is a protected structure and currently being restored to its original form. A glimpse of the intricate work can be roughly seen here on the screen. One can see carvings on the ceiling, archways, and other added portions which hint towards former grandeur and opulence of this building. It is a must visit for all history lovers. After covering all this area of Bhopal, I'm sure if you're there, you will start wondering, isn't there a place to grab a quick bite? Of course, yes. And what better than the famous Raju tea stall? Remember to pack some poha jalebi from here or grab some samosas before you step out to the next pit stop. And don't forget to have a cup of tea here, as the place is among those tea stalls in Bhopal that are so famous among people that people gather around this place to just have a chuski of their chai right from morning till late night. From now, we move towards the largest mosque in the country, Tajul Masajid. This mosque overtook the first seat from Delhi's Jama Masjid in terms of its size and space. If you look closely, you can notice two distinct colors on the walls. The darker portion on the lower side is older and was part of the original construction, which was commissioned by Shah Jahan Begum. On the above layer, you can see a lighter shade, which hints towards completion of this mosque in a later period. It was commissioned in 1870s, and partially the structure was completed under the reign of Begum, but then it had to be stopped due to lack of funds. The construction then resumed only after a century in 1971, after which it got completed only by 1985. Along with the large courtyards of the mosque, the minarets, the domes, and double-storied gateways, these structures add to its charm. The mosque is made in contemporary style used by the Nawabs, taking inspiration from the Mughal architecture, where you can see beautiful Indo-Islamic architecture coming into play again. The prayer hall is lined up with massive pillars with intricate patterns on them. And at present, the mosque also runs a madrasa, which continues a tradition of education which was started by Begums during their times. The mosque also offered separate space on the sides in form of a room where women could come to offer prayers. It is hard to capture the entire mosque into one frame, so here is a panoramic view. In this picture, you can notice the doors lined up on the sides. These doors belong to rooms which are used by the students of the school, and outside every room, you can see names of the people have been mentioned, people who had helped in raising funds during the reconstruction of the mosque. And among these names, there is a famous name of Nargis, the Bollywood actress. As we walk outside, a picture on the stairs cannot be missed. This is a must do for anyone who is visiting. And this is actually the gateway towards the main street that you will be walking when you visit the next stop that we cover. Motia Talab. This beautiful lake is situated between Tajul Masajid and Taj Mahal. Yes, you heard me right. Taj Mahal. There is a Taj Mahal in Bhopal as well. And like her namesake, Shah Jahan Begum had commissioned this Taj Mahal as her dream project, a project that was a residential palace, including Darbar halls, 120 rooms, and much more. The palace was built over a period of 13 years. However, the choice of this location for building the mosque and the palace was this particular talab. This talab is adjoined by two other smaller lakes, Noor Subha Talab and Munshi Talab. These three talabs together are three cascading water bodies that create a beautiful view, and perhaps that is why this location was chosen. With this, we conclude our photo walking journey through Old Bhopal. I now hand it over to Dr. Shawmi Roy.
Thank you, Himanshu and Shivam. I think we still have some more time left, and I have picked up some of the questions that I can see on the question and answer section. So I'm going to read out the questions, and either of you can help me answer those. The first question that definitely comes to our mind is, can you tell us more about the famous food joints or delicacies in Bhopal?
Talk about the food, there are many famous food joints, like depending upon the delicacy and yours, what you would like to have. Basically, if for the non-vegetarians, we have Hakim Hotel and Zamzam, and for the vegetarians, we have Manohar Dairy, and we have Bapu Ki Kutia and Sagar Gere Fast Food Corner as well. And another thing for the food delicacy, there is one very unique item which is also sold over here, apart from the poha jalebi, and the mangodas are also sold in the morning time. And another item is the dal bafla. Basically, the dal bafla is a dough made up of 5 different grains, and it is made, they make a ball of it, and they just first boil it in the water, and then they bake it on the coal, and then they finally deep fry it on the ghee and serve it with the dal or baigan ka bharta or curry, similar like what you have a dal party.
Excellent. That is mouth-watering. I'll quickly take one more question. And in fact, I'm clubbing two of the questions together. It says, how many days should one ideally stay in Bhopal? And if you wish to visit nearby places, how long the stay should be? And if there are mushairas or literary meets in Bhopal. So if we can just quickly answer these two questions.
I would like to answer that in Bhopal, if someone likes to just visit the city and see it completely and in detail, 2 to 3 days would be enough. But if someone wants to cover nearby places as well that we had mentioned earlier, like Khajuraho, Vidisha, Sanchi, Bhimbetka, another additional 2-3 days will be required for it. And if you wish to see the entire state of MP, then I will say at least 10 to 12 days. And you mentioned mushairas. So Mushairas and other cultural events are very frequently organized throughout the city. And these are organized by various groups and cultural societies. And many of them have their pages and their websites, social media profiles, where details can be found. So if anyone is particularly interested to attend such things, you must follow up and book your tickets accordingly.
Right, of course. And I do understand that 10 days is a minimum that one would need to explore Madhya Pradesh, because given the entire spread of wildlife that one could explore apart from the heritage and history that we spoke. With that, I think we will conclude our photo walking journey today. Hope you all enjoyed our concept in Bhopal and discovered the past and present. Historically speaking, there are layers and layers of history in Bhopal. We are thankful to Dekho Apna Desh initiative, where the webinars are a great initiative to show India through people who show India to others. India City Walks is a 3-time national award-winning brand, which has activated actually 11 plus cities in Madhya Pradesh through 2 editions of City Walks Festival, organized in collaboration with Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board in the last 2 years with our flagship brand, India with Locals. Once the lockdown is over, we urge you to take a heritage walk in real, as we strongly believe rather, that tourism cannot be virtual. We have stunning offerings for city experiences in Bhopal, especially on royalty, food, built legacy, water, hills, combined with unique history. India City Walks enables the travelers to connect with many offerings within a short period of time. Just like today, we have a team of heritage enthusiasts, city champions, walk leaders, who deliver the experiences across Madhya Pradesh. Trust me, walk with us for many more stories, for many more life experience. Thank you so much. I think we always miss the opportunity to interact with all of you in the real world. Hope to resume the same as soon as possible, but virtually we are always connected, open to interact. Feel free to connect with us. Thank you once again, Ministry of Tourism. Over to ADG ma'am for the closing words.
Well, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. I think that has been one of the best takeaways of today's webinar. Thank you, Shivam, Shomi, and Hima, bringing us some very, very interesting elements of Bhopal. One question, I don't know if it's a fable, is it a legend, whether you can answer it. We cannot end a webinar on Bhopal without asking about Surma Bhopali. So would any of you like to say a little bit, what is this legend all about? Or is it not a legend and a reality?
So this character basically became very popular with Sholay movie, where a character was played in the movie. While the tradition of applying surma is very common, and Surma Bhopali is famous for his Batole Bazi. As Himanshu had mentioned, Batole Bazi along with someone applying surma is Surma Bhopali.
Okay, so Surma, viewers, for all of you who are not initiated, is the black coal made of the black residue that comes out of the candle, which is
the carbon,
like
yes.
a metal thing. Well, so that's the fascinating India that we have. And also, we all know about cafe latte, right? But I think when the tea got mentioned with dollops of cream on top of it, that's the tea latte for you. We've been doing it for centuries here. So some fascinating things about Bhopal jeeps. I get a sense that we have the jeep culture also because Madhya Pradesh is so famous for Kanha National Park. That's where Mowgli was found by Rudyard Kipling, and Bandhavgarh, Pench, Panna, Satpura. You're spoiled for choice. In fact, in the next webinar that you shall be hooking on, hopefully with us on Thursday, we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But also, viewers, do not go to Bhopal and forget to go to Sanchi, which is just about 1 hour away. It's 48 kilometers exactly northeast of Bhopal. Sanchi is a place where we have the Mahastupa, the great stupa of Lord Buddha. It's a group of Buddhist monuments. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is also home to the Gupta temple, one of the earliest temple examples of temple architecture in India. There is the ASI Museum, the Udaygiri Caves, and whatnot. So do not plan for a day or two. I would say head out for longer because the place has just so much to offer. Within Bhopal, you guys asked about where all can you see showcasing of art and craft and stuff. Bharat Bhavan, I think we can do a whole webinar only on Bharat Bhavan and its activities. So, but then, as all good things must come to end, so shall today's webinar. Why I mentioned Kana, Bandhavgarh, Pench a little more, because on Thursday, which is the 21st of May, we are bringing to you Tiger. the tiger country. And we're going to travel across to different sanctuaries of India and also talk about this very powerful, but very elegant and a very special animal, right? And we are so proud to have him in our country, the tiger. So 21st May, 11 a.m., log in with us to walk along the stealth of the tiger. In the meantime, स्वस्थ रहिए, सतर्क रहिए और देखते रहिए हमारे साथ अपना सुंदर देश. Once again, thanks GoPandas, thanks to all the viewers who have logged in. Thanks to Team NEGT who, as always, stands with us, bringing to all of you our beautiful country. And I would also like to remind all of you the concept of Atithi Dev Bhav, about which we shall talk next time. Today, thank you so much for queuing in and watching us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
ma'am.
Thank you.